Hey guys, this is another Tech Nitwit Productions, and I have a wonderful video lined up for you guys tonight. We are going to be taking this 590W0033W, and we are going to be upgrading it with this giant, big, black RTX wonderfulness 2060 Super. This big, bad mamma jamma. This thing is just freaking awesome. I mean, I love this thing. It's a sexy card, and it does some sexy work. So I did a before and after benchmark. If you guys, I'm going to shoot you down to the screen really quick here. If you look in the Firestrike, we scored 790, and the overall stats were in Firestrike, we got a whopping 790 overall score. So it wasn't very good. We got a graphics test of 4.0 FPS on the first one. Second one was 3.46. We got a physics test of 20.25 FPS. Our graphics score overall was 855. Our physics score was 6,379, and we got a combined score of a whopping 274 with a combined test rate of 1.28 frames per second. I've never seen frames per second rated in points, but hey, I guess it's there. So I'm going to let this stuff flash on your screen, and you guys can see the FPS, GPU temperatures, which this is the onboard 630 UHD graphics. Got the, GPU load, clock frequency, all that stuff. This stuff isn't going to be important anymore because we're going to put this BBG in, this big black graphics card in. That's going to be wonderful. I mean, she's going to, this is the girl that's going to make you happy that you want to take home to mom and say, hey, look. Just kidding. I'm really just kidding. So we got some wonderful XPG RAM. This is 2 sticks of 8 gigs PC, or sorry, it's 300 megahertz, but it's going to clock down to 2666. We have a 1 terabyte PNY that we're going to slap in there just for craps and giggles, so we have some extra space to put some games and other stuff on for testing. And then the thing that makes this all possible is this wonderful 400 watt SFF HP power supply. I'll have a link down below with the description for the number for this. I have tested it with this i3. It 100% works. All the plugs work. It turns on, it powers up, gets into Windows, all that wonderful stuff. That's why it's not on the box, and I didn't unbox it for you guys. If you want to zoom in on that label really quick, I'll let you let the audience see it. It's the 400 watt SFF power supply. So I'm going to show you how to put this in your machine. I'm going to put all the rest of these components in the machine, and then we're going to do a before and after benchmark. I already rolled the benchmark because I didn't want you guys to have to wait a half an hour. It's about how long it took it to complete. I'm kidding. It really didn't take half an hour, but it took. I wasn't waiting around and going to watch it because it was a train wreck. So yeah, guys, pretty much that's what we got in stores for this video. We're going to get all these components in, do a benchmark, and then a conclusion. And we are back here. Couple quick things I want to go over. I have this slanted like this just for ease of filming and so you guys can see what I'm doing. Really, you should have your PC like this when you're working on it. It'll make it a lot simpler. Just an FYI. But I'm going to stop gabbing, and I'm going to get right into this bad mamma jamma. And let's go ahead and get this guy open for you guys. First thing I'm going to do is take this screw off. Let's remove this panel. And how this panel comes out, it's pretty simple. You pull back and out, and it is off. And then we have 4 T5 hex heads right here. Go ahead and grab my hex head thingy-majigger, my screw hex head draw remover. Come here and get me some hex heads. Now while I'm at it, before I even take this guy out, because we got to do the power supply, I'm going to rotate to the rear and get those guys out too. So we got one more right here that we got to get. And then all those are removed. There we go, that's 4. Now we're going to come back to the rear right here, and we're going to remove these 3 guys. 1, 2, 3, and these are for the power supply. And the power supply is still not free even after doing all that. So we got to come around here. So see these wires right here, guys? These wires right here, you have to pop these 2 off. So I'm going to go first one. Come on. There you go. And second one. And then there's a little latch. Little latch right here that's got to come up. And then It's going to allow this whole door to come forward. Set this off to the side. We won't need that for right now. Then I'm going to come here, and this whole thing, if you get it right, will swing out like this. So the easiest way I found is just to unplug these from right here. So there's a latch right in here. There's a latch right on this guy. It's on the bottom. You got to unlatch it and you pull out. And then our power cable's out. And then we have two SATA cables, a blue and a white. I don't know if you guys can kind of see that. A blue and a white guy right here. That one comes out and that one comes out. And then we are free. All right, guys. So as you can see, it's pretty simple from here. We got one connector up here. There's a pin right here that releases it. And if you see right there, that should come undone. And then if you come down this side right here, they're all attached right here. And then this just comes popping off. And then we got one on the bottom right down here. Another latch right there. Same thing like the top. And then we have this 6-pin cable that you just pull. There's no latch on it, just pulls out. And the power supply is pretty much free. Now I want to show you guys something. There's an actual button way down in here. My hand's probably right on it, but this right here. And if I stick my hand on the back of the power supply where I'm pushing in on this, and then push this button in, this whole thing will come back. And now this power supply is free. Other than the cable that's still stuck here that I forgot to get out of there. So let's get this down and out. So right there, get that cable unstuck, and then we are free. And that's the old power supply. It is now out. It's that simple. Just give me a second, guys. Let me get this out of the way, and we are going to replace it with the other one. So here's our new one. Looks a little bit different. A couple different colored cables. So this first cable, so let me go over the cables in this before we put this in. This is going to be your top cable, this brown and black one. This is going to be your bottom 4-pin. This is going to be your GPU. So you can either put a 6-pin GPU in or an 8-pin GPU in. It's got a little transgender clip that, you know, unisex clipper. I don't know what it's called. Something. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I really don't know what it's called. It's just multi-gender, I guess, clip. So yeah, all right, but you gotta latch the power supply right here, so it has to be kind of pulled up, and there's a little lip right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm gonna get in there with the GoPro. You can see that this little lip right here, there's a little lip right there, and that is where the power supply is gonna have to go. With the wires to the back of you, if you look at the power supply with this out to your left, so if you're putting it in like this out to your left side, that's going to go to your left. You're going to try to keep it, and there's another cutout right here too that holds it. So it goes between these two right here. So it's actually a little bit up off of the case. So you get it far enough back, you get it between these two, and then you just slide forward, and eventually it'll lock in. It's going to make a, oh, there we go. It almost made a liar out of me, but it locked in. So now this is actually locked in. It doesn't, I mean, without the screws, it's still going to hold itself. But we're just going to go and trace our same steps. We're going to grab this first power cable, and that's just going to go right here. And the P2 portion is going to go up. It's either going to say P1 or P2. That's going to go upward. And then this black and yellow and white cable, our 6-pin, just tuck that right over there. That's out of our way. And then we need to come over here and plug this 4-pin guy at the bottom. And the clips always go towards the bottom of the case. These clips right there are going to go towards the bottom. And then I'm just going to tuck this up in here so it's up and out of our way. And then this cable is going to follow along. There's clips on here that you can reclip this into. And this mid clip only clips a couple wires. It doesn't clip the whole wire like the other ones. So at the very, very wee top, and remember, clip side down, and this one's going to say P3, and that's going to have clip side down. So it's going to go in, and it's going to have a snap. And then just the excess cable is going to sit up at the top, or if you want, you can pull the excess cable down I mean, it's out of the way, it's not in the airflow, so you're good to go. So that's pretty much one of the hardest portions of this install. I guess while I'm at it, I'm going to come around and flip here, and I'm just going to put the power supply screws back in since I have it. Might have to wiggle and jiggle this guy a little bit, just so these holes line up. Don't put all 3 of them tight till you have all 3 in the holes. And then once you got all 3 in, you can drive them home. Oh, screw down. I just knocked like 2 screws off the table because I'm tech nitwit. And I'm a nitwit. All right, guys, so that's the power supply installed. So now we get the next crazy portion of installing the GPU. This is the next fun part of this build. Now, like I said, most of the time you'd have the PC like this, but I'm doing this in, you know, an awkward position because it makes it better for the audience. So we're gonna do the Jumanji puzzle with my BPG, my big black graphics card, because I just love big black graphics card. They're so sexy. One thing we have to do first is there's actual knockouts on the back of this case right here. So there's no screws on these from stock, so this should just plop open. Really doesn't matter. You know, just plop it open. Get yourself a needle nose or something like a screwdriver. You can push a screwdriver in, and on the bottom they both pop in. And then I grab them with the needle nose on the inside right here. And then you just keep folding till they pop out. And that's how easy these come out. They're just little, they're just in there to protect from debris and stuff getting in there. They're just soft metal pieces. Throw them and dispose of them at your own discretion. And we are going to try to Jumanji this card in. So how you're going to put the card in is the first point that's going to go in is this. So it's going to go down into this slot right here and on an angle. If the GoPro's not in the way. So down, you get this in, and then it starts coming down and forward. And I actually have it forward right now. And then we're just going to come over here, get it slotted in, and we're in. And now you're going to have to push forward on the graphics card to catch this slot right here, and then close this gate, and it locks it. So now it's locked in the back, right back here. So we are going to have to get some PC screws. I will have a link for down in the description below for y'all for some screws and some screw kits. Just common coarse thread screws. And I'm just going to go ahead and put, you know, 2 for the GPU in and 1 for this guy, because this will hold this card nice and snug. And you don't have to Superman these, just snug. We want to make sure the GPU is not moving around if you ever take this to a friend's house or anything like that. And then that's the GPU installed. So one last thing we got to do with the GPU is we have to install our 6-pin, which is this connector, which this did not come with the other power supply, which made it impossible. I'm sorry, it's an 8-pin. So we are going to add these 2 pins together right here, and then the clip goes up on top, if it lets me. There we go. So now we have that in there. So with this sticking out, this is going to be in the way, so we need to tuck some of this in here. So the best way I found is to get a couple of the wires on the hook way down in here. You get 1 or 2 of these wires to grab onto there, or 1. See, I got a couple of them to grab, and that holds that from getting in the way of the hard drive tray. All right, guys, so on to the next thing. We are going to now install the wonderful RAM. So for us to do that, we have to take this RAM out. So it's kind of tight in here, but it's still doable. I'm going to pop this RAM stick out, and I'm going to make sure all these clasps are in the open position. Go ahead and pull, and our RAM stick is out. So now we're going to grab our RAM, and there's a tall side and a short side on these RAM DIMMs. So if you look in there, the tall side is towards the top. So we're going to want to make sure the tall side of this RAM goes in towards the top. Go ahead and put our first stick in. Get it lined up in even, good pressure. And make sure you hear snap, snap. That means both clicked in. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to look at our stick right here, and you see our tall sides on this side. And we're going to make sure the tall side's up top. Get it lined up, and want even pressure. And it's a good amount of pressure, and then they both snap in. That is the RAM now installed. So guys, I mean, we've pretty much installed everything that we wanted to install other than the SSD and put the computer back together. I won't make you guys suffer with putting the cage and all that other stuff back together, but I am going to show you how to put the SSD in the cage quick, and then we will get onto the benchmark. You are going to need an extra SATA cable, because there's one for the drive that's already here and one for the Way of the Dinosaurs DVD-ROM. I don't know if you guys can see that. These ports right here are going to face out this way. So if I flip this around the right way, you're going to have port C right here line up, and then there's going to be port C right here line up. So there's going to be the two that get the screws. Go ahead, and these are number 6 by 32, number 6 screws by 32. And this spot really is meant for a 3.5-inch disc. I'm just making do with it, and it works. And that looks good. So that's in there. It's not loose. It's nice and good. It's not really the spot for it, but it works. So I'm going to come and swing this case around so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. So it's very important that this white cable and this cable, this red, blue, green, and black cable go behind the GPU. And these are going to be your DVD-ROM. This is going to be your hard drive cable, which is going to be blue, and then light blue is going to be our SSD. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and under in this spot, I'm going to re-plug in. So it's going to come in here and actually plug in. It's going to be kind of hard to see, guys. See if I can show this to you. Plugs in right there, and then our SSD gets plugged in. Oh, sorry, it's backwards. Gets plugged in like that. And then just to neaten this cable up, I'm going to snap it into there, and then that's done. So if I want, I can take this lower cable, plug this into my SSD, grab our blue cable, and come and pop that into there, and it's that simple. And now these are done. So we're going to get the drive tree in here first. It's going to come into these little holes up on top. There's like little notches. Get it kind of lined up. And then make sure your other holes are lined up. Get it flush and forward, and that's in. So before I put the DVD-ROM in here, I'm going to put 2 screws just to hold it. The top and the bottom, number 1 and number 2. We got a Inspector Kitty Cat trying to check out what we're doing. And then we will get number 2. Kind of push forward on this and then tighten it up. And that is complete. So now we're going to put the DVD-ROM back in here, the Way of the Dinosaurs. Just joking around. Snaps right in. And these come into here. Sorry, didn't mean to do that with the mic. And they snap into here. Now, from keeping these from hitting the fans, I am going to kind of push down and make sure they're tucked in here. Same with this other cable right here. Make sure these are all tucked in here and pushed in and nice and tight. And that is done. And we're off to the races, guys. Now you can pretty much put the side back on, put your other 2 screws on right here, and we're going to get this thing booted up, and we'll get a benchmark smoking and rolling. So you guys get to see the before and after of upgrading this i3 non-gaming machine to an actual gaming machine. Hey guys, we got the set reconfigured here, and we have the wonderful 590 booted up. First things first, if you're just getting done with this install, watching this upgrade video, the first thing you want to do is Windows is probably going to do some updates with some graphic drivers. Don't rely on those. If you just put a Radeon AMD in, go to AMD's site, get their drivers, get it updated. Or if it's NVIDIA, for instance, you guys can see on OBS, go to the NVIDIA site, and you're going to go up to product type, you're going to select GeForce, then you're going to do, GeForce RTX 20 series, GeForce RTX 20 Super, or whatever graphics card you have. If Windows 10 64-bit, I don't think they really offer the 32-bit anymore. And then you go ahead and hit search, and then this will pop up. You hit download. It should download the drivers for you. Of course, I'm not going to download them. I'm going to close that out. It would have popped up the download, and then, of course, taken you and downloaded them, and then you would install them. Usually, you have to do a restart. Sometimes you don't. Now, it's going to ask if you want GeForce Experience and some other stuff. GeForce Experience is when you hit Alt-Z, it'll give you FPS, recording, and streaming, and all that bad mamma jamma. If you select the other option, you don't get GeForce Experience. You don't get any of that stuff on there. In short order, we are going to get this Firestrike benchmark rolling. Get it started. Getting it started, I want to kind of go over some of the statistics we got before. So 3D Mark Firestrike scored a 790, a whopping 790 with the i3 8100 with the UHD graphics. Graphics score was 8855, and our FPS for our first GPU score for the first graphics score round was 4.02. Our second benchmark was 3.49. Our physics score was 6379 with a 20.25 average FPS. Our combined score was a whopping 274 with an average of 1.28 FPS. So let's see if we can beat that with an RTX 2060 Super 16 gigs of RAM and a wonderful PNY 1 terabyte SSD. I have a feeling that we are gonna dunk the living crap out of that benchmark. So this is how you take grandma or grandpa's daily writer email answering PC and turn it into a entry-level mid-tier gaming, PC. So we just finished up here with a score of 14,896. We went from 790 to 14,896. That's huge difference. All right, guys, so this 8100 is absolutely awesome. 896. I don't know if anybody wants to do the math on that, but 790 to 14,800, around 140% increase in performance. So our PS score, which was physics score, was 7842, which really didn't change too much from the last score, which we got 6,379. But we also went from 4 gigs of RAM to 16 gigs of RAM, which is kind of a difference. So it had a little bit more breathing room with the FPS score of 24.90. Our previous test without the upgrades was 20.25. So our combined score was 7,313, and that was a 34.02 FPS. So our combined score before was 274 with the 1.28 FPS. So kind of a bit of a difference there. And then our graphics score was 21,848. Which the first FPS hit 104, and our second FPS hit 87. So comparative from the first test we got 4.02 frames per second, compared to this test, which was 104 frames per second. That's a pretty darn big difference. And then our second test, which from stock, was 3.49, and our upgraded was 87. Of course, we did see some major, graphics improvement by putting a 2060 RTX Super in here. This is definitely a gaming machine now. Definitely. I would game on this thing. This thing is freaking awesome. It is an HP, so it is a pre-built. It has that, kind of weighing it down. But other than it being a pre-built, it definitely will play video games. It definitely will do VR. In its current state before, it definitely wouldn't do any of those things. So I'm going to give this 2 thumbs up with TechNet with approval. I hope you guys enjoyed, and TechNet without y'all. If you liked, make sure you like. If you dislike. Sharing is caring, and yeah, TechNet without. Hey guys, it's TechNetwood here. Make sure you guys subscribe and like and hit that bell. Thanks.